No one expected the final face-off between Kayn Clark and Angel Ree to become the most talked-about event in the entire WNBA season. Yet, here we are. Fans packed the arena, analysts frothed at the mouth with predictions, and social media turned this game into the must-watch of the summer. Why such a frenzy? It wasn't just about bragging rights or who would inch closer to the Rookie of the Year award. It felt like a battle for the league's future. All eyes locked onto two rookies who carried a tidal wave of expectations on their shoulders. And from the second the ball tipped, you could sense something special was about to unfold. Everyone knew there was unfinished business, fueled by rumors of intense scrimmages, subtle trash talk, and behind-the-scenes friction. Both athletes had spent months building their brands while critics questioned if they were overhyped. This final game was more than a scoreboard. It was a referendum on who truly ran the show in a league hungry for fresh superstars. By the end of the night, some fans celebrated, others fumed, and social media exploded with arguments that still haven't died down. Welcome to the story of how two rookies turned one game into a league-altering spectacle. Both Kayn Clark and Angel Ree arrived in the WNBA on a tidal wave of college hype. Their NCAA showdowns had been electric, leaving fans begging for a rematch at the professional level. Clark had carved out a name for herself as a fearless shooter who could launch from a step past half court without blinking. Ree, on the other hand, was known for her punishing post play, seemingly unstoppable under the rim. Their contrasting styles made every meeting a must-see affair, but it wasn't just their on-court abilities that captured attention. Rumors trickled out that they'd butted heads in college camps, with quiet accusations about one overshadowing the other in media coverage. Some fans claimed Ree's brand deals were overshadowing Clark's star performances. Others insisted Clark was being pushed relentlessly by the league's marketing machine. The tension became the stuff of social media legend. Two women who respected each other's talent but refused to yield an inch. By the time they turned pro, the media had painted them as rival queens, destined to collide on basketball's biggest stages. Heading into the WNBA, analysts predicted they would dominate the rookie conversation. Few realized just how much their personal ambitions and past friction would set the stage for an unforgettable collision in the final matchup. The chatter was so loud that even veterans weighed in, cautioning the league not to overpraise untested talent. But the hype only grew. People wanted a story, the unstoppable post presence versus the lethal sharpshooter. And from day one, the pair delivered. As the season wound down, Kayn Clark and Angel Ree found themselves on a collision course. Both had posted eye-popping numbers, each claiming to be the rightful Rookie of the Year. ESPN stoked the fire by labeling one the heir apparent and the other a generational game-changer. Billboards appeared in certain markets, teasing their names side by side. Social media polls declared them the future of women's basketball, igniting fan bases who defended their favorite with passionate loyalty. In the weeks leading up to the final matchup, their respective teams knew the stakes. A big performance here could sway end-of-year accolades and hush any doubters. Talk shows debated who had the better supporting cast. Former pros weighed in on who had the killer instinct. While each team had distinct motivations, playoff seeding, reputation, pride, everything came back to Clark versus Ree. That last game on the schedule loomed with an intensity rarely seen in the WNBA. Insiders whispered about a potential personal grudge. Had they really traded barbs behind the scenes? Were they cool with each other off the court? Did Ree roll her eyes at Clark's media hype, or did Clark bristle at Ree's endorsements? Nobody knew for sure, but the uncertainty only fueled the spectacle. By tip-off, fans arrived decked out in homemade signs and custom jerseys, one side championing Clark's unstoppable jump shot, the other cheering Ree's flashy double-doubles. When the game finally started, it felt like the entire world tuned in. On the very first possession, Kayn Clark demanded the ball beyond the arc, as though daring the defense to step up. Her quick release found nothing but net, and the crowd erupted into thunderous cheers. Angel Ree answered swiftly, powering into the paint for a layup that showcased her blend of strength and finesse. The crowd roared again. It was clear from the start. This wasn't just a rookie duel. It was a demonstration of why these two had become the face of the league overnight. The early minutes were a blur of fast breaks, tough screens, and surprising assists. Clark displayed her underrated passing, zipping the ball through the narrowest of lanes while Ree anchored her team's interior offense and snatched rebounds like she had magnets in her fingertips. Anytime one of them scored, you could see the other set her jaw, determined to match that energy. It was a heavyweight boxing match disguised as a basketball game. Each big moment from one was instantly countered by the other. What nobody anticipated, however, was how the rest of their teammates would respond. Lurking in the shadows were veterans hungry for their own spotlight, launching from the perimeter and hustling on defense. At times, it seemed like the best show wasn't just Clark versus Ree, but the entire cast uniting to prove a point. Shots from well beyond the arc started to fall. Timely steals electrified the crowd. Even the head coaches got animated on the sidelines, shouting instructions that only ratcheted up the intensity. Midway through the quarter, the officials found themselves in the crossfire of heated plays. Shoves under the basket escalated into a chorus of complaints. A few borderline calls went unwhistled and both sides grumbled. You could sense tensions building, especially whenever Clark and Ree battled for position. The scoreboard seesawed. The fans in the arena buzzed with nervous energy, as if anticipating an explosion. By the time the second quarter kicked in, neither team had a clear advantage. Clark had buried a couple of deep shots and tossed out highlight reel assists, while Ree was quietly inching toward another double-double. But the real surprise came from a pair of lesser-known role players who started hitting outside shots at will, tilting the game's momentum. Suddenly, a hush fell over the crowd each time the three-pointer soared through the air. Would they sink another? Could they break the game wide open? The halftime buzz was intense. Analysts stressed how Clark's outside brilliance might crumble if Ree's team kept dominating the interior. On social media, fans argued over who was really in control. Both sides recognized this wasn't just about points or rebounds, it was about mental toughness. The next 20 minutes could make or break a rookie's legacy. With so much chatter about endorsements, media favorites, and overrated hype, whoever stepped up would silence the critics. Once the third quarter began, both teams erupted with fresh energy. Clark drained a dagger 3 from what felt like half court, sending the crowd into a frenzy. Ree answered with a swat on defense, then powered through a double team for a second chance bucket. The floor rattled from the roar of the fans. Each possession felt like a last stand, as if every shot might decide the outcome. But tension quickly escalated into something nastier. A hard foul near the baseline left one player wincing on the hardwood. The officiating crew rushed in, trying to keep things under control. Whispers swirled that the physical play was no accident. Some players might have been singled out as targets, and lurking under every scuffle was that question. Would Clark or Ree lose their cool in the face of borderline dirty tactics? Late in the third, it happened. Clark made a spectacular drive and kicked the ball out to a teammate who sank an open shot. During the celebration, a rival defender rushed into Clark's path, sending her stumbling. No call. The crowd erupted in jeers. Clark shot a glance at the referee, then at the player who'd knocked her off balance. Meanwhile, Ree scrambled to keep her team afloat, collecting boards and throwing her elbows around in an effort to maintain inside dominance. The game teetered on the edge of chaos, threatened to boil over. Every possession dripped with intensity, and every whistle was contested. Clark cut through a double team, only to get shoved mid-lane. Ree battled in the post, absorbing hits that could have been flagrant. On the sidelines, coaches paced like caged tigers, as if they sensed some big meltdown might loom around the corner. Then it actually happened. The scoreboard showed a tight gap and Clark had the ball, scanning the defense. A sudden lunge from an opposing player turned into a collision that sent Clark tumbling. This time, the officials blew the whistle immediately. The crowd roared, some cheering the tough defense, others furious about dangerous contact. As Clark stood up, you could see the fire in her eyes. Ree, just a few feet away, looked on with a mix of concern and determination, perhaps aware that this kind of physical play put them both at risk of losing control. The next few minutes became a test of composure. Clark stayed on the court, using her quickness and ball handling to outmaneuver the smothering defense. Ree continued to grind inside, chasing that double-double milestone. But watchers began to question if Ree's run of double-doubles was overshadowing the team's game plan. On certain possessions, it seemed like Ree was more concerned about getting her 10th rebound than making the right play. Some fans cried stat padding, while others argued that Ree's hustle was what every champion needed. It was a microcosm of the debate that had followed her all year. Unstoppable force or inflated hype? With just a few minutes on the clock, the game's outcome still hung in the balance. A swift steal at midcourt led to a breakaway that put Clark's team within a single possession. The crowd rose to its feet. Ree countered with an aggressive post move, drawing contact and heading to the free throw line. She sank one shot, missed the second, and grabbed the rebound in a flurry of arms and jerseys, as if her entire season hinged on that single board. Tempers flared again when Clark, pivoting on the perimeter, took what looked like a forearm to the ribs from a frustrated defender. This time, Clark glared with an intensity that quieted even the most raucous fans. But she channeled that anger into her next play, weaving into the paint and flipping in a layup that gave her team its first lead of the quarter. Suddenly, Ree's team scrambled to contain the momentum shift. A quick timeout didn't seem to settle the chaos. Instead, every possession after the break felt borderline desperate. In one sequence, Ree dove for a loose ball at center court, nearly colliding with Clark. Instead of tangling in a heated tussle, they each rolled, away with surprising calm, leaving fans to wonder if they had more respect for each other than they let on. But the real twist came when Clark made a near-impossible step-back three over Ree's extended arm, a shot so smooth it felt preordained. The crowd burst into wild applause. Even Ree had to stifle a look of disbelief. With less than 2 minutes left, it was now or never for Ree, who continued to fight for inside position. She took a feed in the post, spun elegantly, and dropped in a layup that gave her the double-double she'd been chasing. Yet, the scoreboard showed her team trailing. Everyone realized that as important as personal stats are, the final outcome carries the loudest message. In the last 60 seconds, the arena practically vibrated with tension. Clark surveyed the defense, dribbling at the top of the key. Ree patrolled the paint, arms wide, ready to swat any drive or claim any miss. Each second felt like an eternity. Clark found an opening, zipped a pass to a cutting teammate, and up went the shot. Bucket. The lead grew. Ree's team raced back, pushing for a quick score, but nerves got the best of them. A rushed shot clanked off the rim, and Clark soared for the rebound, sealing the possession that all but ended the game. When the final buzzer sounded, the scoreboard told a clear story. Clark's team had taken the victory. Even so, the immediate post-game reaction was as polarized as ever. Some heralded Clark's sharpshooting and poise under pressure. Others believed Ree had proven her worth as an unstoppable force on the boards and in the paint, albeit with less help on the perimeter. Neither rookie seemed entirely satisfied. Clark wore a small, triumphant smile, while Ree tried to mask her frustration. Cameras captured a brief handshake. No trash talk, no feigned sweetness, just a quick, business-like acknowledgement that this particular chapter was over. The dust had barely settled before hot takes flooded in from every corner. TV analysts debated which rookie deserved the top honor and who had the brighter career ahead. Social media splintered into factions, with some praising Clark as the new face of the league, others insisting Ree was the rightful star. Headlines questioned if Ree's double-doubles carried the same weight after a performance that felt muted until the dying minutes. Meanwhile, Clark's final push had critics calling her the inevitable WNBA champion in years to come. Behind all the noise, though, the league saw a massive surge in attention. Ratings skyrocketed for this final showdown, and highlights dominated sports channels for days. Even people who rarely watch the WNBA found themselves transfixed by the physical play, the drama, the star power of two rookies who dared to challenge each other, and the status quo. Marketing executives rushed to capitalize on the moment, scheduling meet and greets and talk show appearances. Both Clark and Ree walked away with bigger endorsements in the pipeline, solidifying their place in the WNBA's pantheon of emerging icons. But the question lingered. Which of these rookies truly deserved the crown? Did the final game settle the debate or simply add a new layer of controversy? Some argued that Ree's stats were impressive but padded. Others scoffed at the idea that Clark's outside shooting alone made her unstoppable. No matter where fans stood, the rivalry had ignited a spark in the women's game, one that promised to keep burning through next season and beyond. In the end, there's no neat, tidy bow to wrap around this story. Rivalries like Clark versus Ree rarely provide a definitive answer in a single game, no matter how thrilling. Instead, they become ongoing dramas that define eras and force us to rethink how we measure greatness. Is it about raw stats, clutch performances, or intangible leadership qualities? Perhaps the real takeaway is that the WNBA, with rising stars like these, has an ever-expanding horizon. The final showdown left fans breathless and set social media ablaze. Although Clark walked away with the victory, Ree's defenders argue she showed enough grit and production to keep the debate alive. And that might be the biggest triumph for the league itself. Two rookies turning ordinary games into must-watch theater that extends far beyond the arena. Their teams may move on to the postseason or the lottery, but one thing is certain: the rivalry is far from settled. Whenever these two square off again, be it next season or in a potential playoff clash, everyone will tune in, ready for another dose of drama. Will Angel Ree refine her game to shut down the stat-padding whispers? Will Kayn Clark maintain her laser-like range and continue to evolve as a team leader? Only time will tell. Until then, fans are left with that final image: one rookie cradling the ball, the other looking determined to come back stronger. The promise of more battles to come is already electrifying, and that, more than any final score, is why this matchup mattered.